Welcome to another podcast live with AFI. So we have another new employee that has joined the team. We have Braedan, and she is originally from
Michigan.
And you just graduated from
Alabama.
And she has joined our media team. So very optimistic that she will be with us long term. She didn't go to school to be a doctor or engineer like Hanzilla over there, so that should be very helpful. Your background actually was completely media, so that's really what you wanted to get into.
Yeah, it's been like that since high school. I got interested in film around like 8th grade, I was going to say, but in my high school, there was like this off-site program where you could do like video production. So I did that for 2 years. And then in college, I was in live production for all 4 years.
Okay. So what did you like most? Like taking photos, like doing skits, video feed? What did you like doing the most?
So I started off really liking skits and doing that kind of stuff, but more recently I've kind of gotten into more like feature length stuff, like especially senior year, we have a lot of like student film productions. So basically they're just like condensed films. So like, you know, like a feature length film, but just kind of
like
compressed.
2 hours and you're getting like
compressed
15
to like
minutes.
10 minutes. Cause like if we try to do like a 2-hour film, it would just be impossible. Like it would take so long. Like the movies do take like, you know, like years to come out. But, and actually even the most recently, I'd say I got into photography probably around, it was like junior, senior year. And it's like, it really goes hand in hand with video. There's a lot of like elements that kind of translate between the two. And I really do like photography. I've kind of gotten to that. And like at one point I would say it's even like more my interest than video, but I would say like it goes so back and forth. It's like asking what your favorite TV show is. It changes.
Well, with photography and I guess in video as well, is trying to get the lighting right, try to position it, trying to get that like warmth and feel and all that. Because we've tried to take some photos, we were like completely horrible. So this was like job security for you.
Perfect.
Because as it went through, like we could do some shots, but we definitely knew we needed some help. Okay, so with you being a new employee, we also added a manager over you guys, which is new. And with the COVID scenario, we actually hired a guy from Seattle who is actually managing your department remote. So if you would have told me 12 months ago that I would even think of a manager not being on premises, and this was something that a lot of other companies were doing, that, hey, you ought to try it, I would say they've lost their mind. There's no way this will work. But I was interviewing a guy, and he was great on the interview, and he literally said, I didn't know this wasn't a remote position, and I had to think for a second and say, okay, wait a minute. Can he really do this job remote? So he started the exact same day that you did, and how do you think that's been going so far?
I think it's been going very well. I've never had a remote manager either. It is kind of different because I'm used to having someone like over my shoulder coming in, like checking on me, like telling me what to do, like, you know, hour by hour. So it is different to have him like not here. And well, we do the our daily Zoom calls. So we do get to like talk to him, you know, get to interact and kind of like go over things just like I feel like you would in person. You would have like probably a daily meeting as well. And we have been communicating on Slack. So one thing that we've all kind of like do with each other, like we banter with each other, we joke around. And that's like something that I feel like if you're in person, it's easier to do that. But somehow we've managed to like joke around and like message him. And just like we kind of have our group message with each other, and we are like all entertaining and we joke around. So he's warming up to us. And I think like we're getting more comfortable with like messing around with him too. So it is interesting to do that all like virtually.
So when I interviewed him, we literally were going through the steps on how are you going to make sure tasks are done? How are you going to be able to stay on top of the employees, this, that, and the other. So he's like, well, if I do a Zoom meeting at least once a day at the beginning till I really start understanding who's doing what and what we're doing in production. And he introduced us to Slack, which I've heard of Slack, but I'd never actually physically used Slack, which that is actually a really good program as far as what I've seen, because you can update projects and who's working on what, and hey, can you approve this? Then you can send it to the next person and so on. And even me being inside the building, that has worked out to be pretty fluid.
Yeah.
So I do like that.
No, yeah, I really like Slack.
Then on top of that, we use Monday, and Monday's more of like scheduling tool for like the overall project. So I think the combination between Zoom, Slack, and Monday is like a complete platform.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Monday's trying to add Zoom meetings into their platform, and Slack's trying to do video conferencing and all these other things that they do on top of each other.
Yeah.
So I think one of them is going to come out as the front runner shortly. But I would have never thought that a manager could manage a department from the outside. And just with this experiment, now we've run it roughly about a month. It seems completely fluid. Doesn't seem odd, seems to work pretty good.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think the platforms definitely like make a big difference in it because the Monday is really helpful in seeing like what we have to do. There's deadlines. He's been like telling us really how to use it more than like we know how to. I've used Slack before like one other time, so that's pretty basic, really easy to use. But the Monday, I feel like there's a lot you can do on there, and he clearly like knows his stuff and he knows all the elements that you can utilize there. So that's been really helpful.
Yeah, so the benefit that he actually had, Alex has worked on several different projects, and really what he was doing was freelancing, working for like 6 different companies at once. And when I interviewed him, he said, I'm burning out. I'm doing 6 companies at once. If I could focus in on one company, and with the resources that you already have, now I actually have a team behind me, I can really figure out how to do your social media, how to stay on top of some of these ads that we're running and MailChimp and all these other things. And he said, I'll nail it. And at first I was kind of hesitant. You know, you don't know, you hire a new person, you don't really know if they're going to hit the ground running and so on. And literally he's asking all the right questions. His follow-up's been spot on. Hey, I like this shot. I don't like that shot. So he's picked up the brand very quickly. So I've been very impressed. He's definitely a benefit to the team.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
So we haven't done a Zoom podcast, but we may have to do one of those with him.
Yeah,
So
that'd be fun.
We'll figure out how to get that into the system.
Yeah.
So what do you think as far as like the fragrance industry? Is it what you thought it would be? What did you really think before you got here?
I truly didn't know much about it. But for me, I've always been someone, like, oddly enough, that's, like, loved fragrances. Like, ever since I've been in, like, high school, I'd guess. Like, I would be that kid that would just douse herself in, like, perfume. Like, I would always get, like, body spray and everything. Like, and candles. My mom, like, thinks I have a problem because I have so many candles. Like, I'm obsessed with them. I get them for each season. So I have, like, my spring scents, like the more flowery ones. Summer, I feel like more tropical. Fall, definitely, you know, go all out in fall, like with all the pumpkin spice, all the, you know, the basic scents. And then winter, definitely more of like the colder, cooler scents. I like pine. You know? I love Christmas scents, like anything like rich.
I guess we did find the right girl.
And I truly even coordinate my body sprays with like what I'm doing that day. So if it's like a big day and I'm doing, you know, have something really important, I have one that says "You're a star." That's what the fragrance is called. So I use that one. And then if it's like
look at Adam back here. This is great. What?
Yeah, like this job was like everyone laughs because they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense why you're there. I'm like, yeah, it truly is like a perfect combination. And like I think I told you this in my interview. I've made soap on several occasions. Like I've had soap parties where I like buy these kits, like obviously nothing like we're about to do.
Yeah.
And then I have all my friends come and we all make our like custom soaps. I used to, when I was really little, before I got like kits, I tried to make my own soap out of like toothpaste and like just random stuff like body, like whatever oil and all that. Like I would try to give it to my mom as presents, and she would be like, "That's so cute," and like I would make my own labels for them too. So I've been into this. So this is like a dream come true. Whenever I go to the library, if we have to pick out scents, I'm like, oh, that looks good, and I just open it and smell it. I'm like, yeah, okay. So it's fun to browse around. Yeah, I love scents.
That really works out.
Yeah, it really does.
Like some people really, they say they like fragrances, but honestly, I like vanilla, I like cucumber melon, and like 1 or 2 things, and then that's about it.
It's basic.
And for you to actually be doing like your custom blends and stuff like that, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I've been into it, so it's definitely like super eye opening and like fun, honestly, for me to be a part of this, and just like especially with the DIYs that we're doing, getting to actually create the products that I've always like wanted to, but not really had the tools necessary to. That's really cool for me, and obviously combining it with my passion for videography.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so you came from up north, you went to Alabama, now you're in Georgia.
Yeah.
Right? Now, of course, we're under COVID restriction, and of course, we're opening back up, but it's not like you're like out checking out Atlanta 24/7.
Yeah.
Have you got to see anything so far out of Atlanta?
Well, I actually lived in downtown Atlanta last summer. I had an internship at Turner, so I was there and I was like in the middle of the city, and it was really cool. It was really fun. But
And that was before COVID, so you could actually see stuff.
Yeah. So I went out and
Centennial
did
Olympic and all that stuff.
I
Yeah,
did
Coke.
all the basic tourist stuff during that summer. So I feel like I got my fill for that. But
Yeah.
up here, I didn't realize how like hilly and gorgeous it is, because like I feel like in Atlanta it's not that hilly.
Yeah.
In Alabama, at least the part where I'm from is very flat. Michigan, the part where I'm from, really flat. So there's just like hills and like the sunset goes over them, and I always send pictures to my mom like, look at this, like I live here, it looks like a rainforest. I'm not used to it. I really like it. I like the slower pace here too, like compared to like
being
Atlanta.
on the outskirts, that's our benefit as
Yeah.
well. That's actually pretty interesting. Huh. All right, so you're first starting. So normally what I do is I look at the employee and I try to figure out if they're going to be here 1 year, 5 years, or a lifer.
Okay.
Right? So when I first got in the industry, one of the old guys who was working in the warehouse came up to me and he says, did you sign a contract? And I said, a contract? I was like, I didn't get no contract. And he goes, so you're only going to be here for a little while. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, well, a lot of people around here get like a 1 year contract, a 5 year contract, or they're a lifer.
Oh.
So I walked off and that kind of ended the conversation. So I'm over here by the sink and there was like this spilled soap that was on the counter, right? So, and we use this powder granule. It almost looked like borax. So I grabbed some of the borax, I scoop it off and I put it on my hand. I wash my hands. And the guy walks over and he looks at me. He goes, you're going to be a lifer, right? And I was like, what does that even mean? He goes, oh, no, if you're going to work out fine here, everything's going to be good. Because it was more of like my work ethic and this, that, and the other. I didn't want to waste that type of thing. And sure enough, I was there until the company sold, which was like 10 years later. So with you, now that I found out that, of course, I knew you like media because that's why you went to school and that's what you came out of. But your hidden love of fragrance that just came out of this, I probably moved you from the 5 year to the lifer after that.
Yay.
I think you'll be here long
Awesome,
term
yeah.
because the fragrance side, the DIY, there's so many other projects that we're working on that'll really keep you engaged, and especially as we're going into the other side of really trying to teach people the inner knowledge. So to me, no one has access to the fragrance industry. It's like everybody wants to know like behind the scenes what happens. But we need to connect the fragrance to the product. So there's a lot of companies out there and they're like, oh no, we're never going to tell you how to make a finished product. And to me, I can't sell you the fragrance unless you actually know how to make the finished product.
Yeah.
So I don't know, there's 40 or 50,000 products out in the world. So you have a lot of videos to make.
Yay,
so we have you
awesome.
pretty consistent, right?
Perfect.
So welcome to AFI,
Thank
our
you.
new lifer, Braedan. And keep following us, subscribe below, AFI.
Has anybody seen Josh?